Eddie, do you think the world needs more strong men? You know, society's it's changing a lot. There's seems to be a bit of an attack on masculinity. There's this thing called toxic masculinity. I guess people would look at you and say you are, you know, the quintessential strong male. Does the world need more strong men?
I feel like it needs a good mix of everything, but I do feel like I feel like we need to learn from history, and I feel like that having strong men in the world is a big thing for the younger generation to look up to, you know, to the world's strongest men, to the UFC champions, to the world boxing champions. You know, we need these people in our lives as much as we need anybody else. I think you're completely right. There's a lot of toxicity out there at the minute, and I think it's down to the parents above anyone to teach the kids what's right and wrong. So, but me myself, I like to teach my son, you know, to be equal, to listen, to be understanding, never judge, and you know. But then you've also got, you know, you want to be a man that, in my opinion, if you're not a man that's pushed your limits, like to know what the human body can do, I think that's a real shame. And if you can't do that, then I think it's good to see other people do that. You know, what can the human body do? How big and strong can the human body get? How fast, how agile, how mobile, how explosive? And I think those things are quite inspirational for the younger generation. So I quite enjoy. It's like my son comes with me to the gym every day and we lift weights and we chat amongst the guys, you know, and we talk about proper lad stuff, and he just joins in. You know, we'll talk about women and things going on in the world, and, you know, Andrew Tate, and we'll just talk about these things. And I think that's really valuable for my son to just be there, listen and see how we react and what our opinions are. And in between that, you know, we're lifting weights and drinking protein shakes. You know, so I think I'm, you know, that's my way of bringing my child up.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, you know, just teach kids of today a variety of everything. Everyone's got the place.
So you mentioned Andrew Tate. Had him on the show, know him quite well, and he's this really interesting character and caricature.
Yeah.
In that he's almost this symbol of strong masculinity, but then there's a misogyny on the other side of it as well, where maybe he stepped over the line. What are your thoughts on Andrew Tate and his impact on society?
I mean, as you say, he's a character. He's a caricature, but it's a touchy one, isn't it, at the minute? I think some of the things he's done and said have been quite wrong in terms of teaching the younger generation to act a certain way towards women and homosexuals and whatever else. I think some of those things have been a bit wrong. Whether they are his true personality or not, I think they're just wrong in general. But I think Andrew Tate himself seems like a man that a lot of people could look up to in certain ways. You know, he's a man who's come from nothing. He's a man who's fought his way up, literally fought his way up, and made a decent life for himself. As I say, I don't want to dive into all the things that he could have done wrong or has done wrong, but you know, everyone's got their portrayal of themselves. I myself, you know, on social media, I'm the beast. You know, I'm not Eddie Hall, I'm the beast. So I've got a different personality, you know, and I'm a bit obnoxious and I'm a bit arrogant and whatever else when I'm on the stage and when I'm on camera. But in true essence, you know, I'm a family man. I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got a kid on the way. You know, I've got a mum and dad, I've got brothers and sisters, I've got nieces. You know, I'm a normal person. I like to go out and have a beer. You know, I like to hang around with my pals. I like to play the PlayStation. So I think there's two sides to everybody.
So with all this stuff around sort of gender now, and you know the blurred lines of gender, do you think maybe that it's harder to be a boy growing up to be a man? Is it more confusing? Is this why Andrew Tate is so popular with young men? Because like, this is what it takes to be a man. I mean, I'll just be honest, Eddie, if I was growing up and I was confused anyway at 14, I'd be fucking confused in today's world.
Yeah. Again, a very touchy one. I've got to be careful what I answer here, but
I think it's an important discussion to have.
it is, of course. I think I'm of the opinion that men are men and women are women. End of story. Like, if people want to be someone else or something else, let them crack on. Like, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. But like, I wouldn't push my masculinity on somebody else. Don't push your opinions on anybody else either. You know, if you want to dress as a woman and say you're a woman and whatever else, that's fine. Carry on, crack on. Just don't bother me when you do it. You know what I mean? And that's my opinion with that kind of thing. Obviously, celebrate who you are, do what you do, but I think let people make their own decisions and trying to force that on people and make people learn your ways and whatever, that's bullshit. Well, I wouldn't force myself to force a kid to, like, you've got to be this, you've got to act like this, like bollocks. Like, that's your parents' job, not mine. You know, that's how it should be.
One of the most controversial things Andrew Tate said, I think, is he said that depression isn't real. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's, again, that's a very obnoxious thing to say. I think it's quite an easy thing to say from an outside perspective. And I've heard, in his defence, I've heard people say that, you know, in different aspects. When I was younger, when I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, my nan, the most sweet-hearted, giving, generous woman on the planet to me, sort of sat me down one day and like, what's up with you? What's there to be depressed about? Just snap out of it. And I don't think, you know, because she'd never been through it, she didn't quite get it and understand it, and I think unless you have been through it and you do understand what it does to you and what it takes, then it'd be quite easy for someone from the outside just to say, it's not real, come on. Like, bullshit, you're not depressed, just pick yourself up and let's go for a pint. You know, it doesn't work like that. So I think that's quite it's quite an obnoxious thing to say in some ways. But everyone's got their opinion. And again, like, do I judge him for having that opinion? Couldn't give a shit. Let him crack on. If he thinks that's the case, then does that affect me in any way? No, it doesn't.
Was your nan a big part of your life?
My nan was a massive part of my life, yeah. She, someone that would, you know, was a very, like we said, you know, very ADHD, just bouncing off the walls, very disobedient. Just, if there's something they shouldn't be doing, you know, I'd do it. Something you shouldn't say, I'd say it. And my nan, even though, you know, just a sweet old lady, had no physical power over me, but just with a few words would calm me down and make me see sense. And I think that's a very powerful thing to have as a child, as someone that has that power over you, that you have that respect for. And they you know, she taught me a lot in my life. She taught me how to care and be kind and to not judge and, you know, give people the time and patience, because she did that with me. And I was a terror child, and she still had all those things for me. So that taught me a lot. That did. It taught me a lot with my son now. You know, how to be with my son. You know, there's at times where I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, like I could clip you around the ear right now. Yeah. But it's my nan, all those lessons from my nan, that's, you know, sometimes a good firm talking to does a lot more sinking in than a clip around the ear would.